Hey everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this next episode of the Agent Spotlight. I have with me Janine Essex, one of our most consistent performers when it comes to Razor Ridge leads. And this one's going to be short and sweet, where we're going to cover a bunch of different things, mainly about her experience using Razor Ridge leads, but also any tips and tricks that she can provide to you to assist you in growing not only your personal APV, but your agency as well. But before I go into anything further, Jenny, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Janine Essex, direct to George and Janet Matthews, part of the Purdy Lynn Watkins hierarchy here at Symmetry. I've been here for about 6.5 years. Really got a lot going on right now, a lot of new agents starting, a lot of new writers, and I'm excited about where it's going. And saw a significant difference in the lead generation and the quality of the leads doing the Razor Ridge DFY and just transitioning over to those Razor Ridge premium leads right now. But yeah, I've been really happy with them. And, I'd say probably the key to success has been speed to lead, getting a hold of them right away, getting my contact card in front of them.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to dive into a lot of the stuff because you've hit on a few different points that I wanted to get into a bit more detail with. I'm glad you did. So before we go into the detail, what type of AP are you looking at weekly, roughly? Because I've seen your name on leaderboards often, so I know it's relatively high.
Pretty awesome. Made the national leaderboard last week on IUL sales. So I do a lot of IUL, a lot of F&G. I love F&G products and do a similar amount of simplified issue. So far for the month, I'm right at 20,000, a little bit over 20,000. I have some appointments, a couple more appointments today, and pretty much booked through the week. So consistent people showing up. Last week was a little slow. I only did a little over 5,000, well, just under 6,000, I think. So that was kind of a slow week for me. It's a day. So it's nice when a slow week is 5,000.
It's not bad for a slow week, right? That's awesome. That's brilliant. So you touched upon the difference in lead quality. I guess just to give people background, so Razor Ridge, we changed our approach earlier this year around July, when I took over the business, and my focus was making sure that firstly the leads that we're providing were just filtered better. Filtering meaning that we gave every agent a better opportunity of being able to close a deal by making sure that the person was more financially ready, but also I can't guarantee healthy, but more likely to be healthy. So Janine, you've experienced both sides of Razor Ridge, I would say. Talk to people about the differences that you've seen, because I think it will help people really understand where
Yeah.
we've come from, where we
Um,
are now.
It's the difference between day and night, right? It's the difference between 5 to 10,000 a month to 20 to 30,000 a month. It is tremendous. I really, in the spring and early summer, was considering, yeah, shutting it down, right?
Hmm.
And then a lot of good communication from you, really kind of fine tuning that. And, it has turned around rapidly. I mean, it was very, very noticeable, both in my bank account and the quality of leads. I mean, sure, we're still gonna get every now and then, you're gonna get the person who lied about being on disability that has that wants to send you this text with 20 prescriptions that they're taking. I'm like, "We've got a GIWL for you."
Yeah.
That's few and far between. I say less than 3%, I can't do something for. But, we can put insurance on anybody, right? It's just a matter of do they do they really wanna put that coverage in place and getting to their why as quickly as possible, and again, just reaching out immediately. I get irritated with myself when I can't immediately respond to someone, but at the very least, I'm gonna send them a note and say, "I'm so sorry, I'm with the customer right now. I'll reach back out as soon as I have a few minutes today, or just let me know the best time for me to give you a call. Let me see if I can make that happen."
Perfect. Talk to me about your process then, because I mean, like you said, obviously the leads are one thing to help you have that consistency in terms of income, but there's obviously a process that you're following that allows you to be, on national leaderboards and, hit your 20K monthly. Like what are you doing that is allowing you to do that?
Yeah, just as soon as that first note comes out from the system, if I can, I'm calling them, right? And if I don't catch them, I'm gonna leave them a voicemail, and then I'm gonna immediately send them my contact card with all my license information. And I'm going to tell them I have 2 spots open today, this and this. Does either one work? If not, we can look later on down the week.
Brilliant. So you're call if they don't pick up, contact card, basically showing your
Yeah.
face. You're
This is Janine Essex. I'm giving you a call back. I'm sorry, I have a really, really busy day today, a lot of appointments. I have this and this available, so I'll leave it on the voicemail
yeah,
and, boom, and then I'll follow up with the text because I can text and talk at the same time, believe it or not, and then put that contact card on there. So now they have a visual along with my voice.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and we go from there, right?
What type of response rate do you get from that? I can imagine it's relatively good.
Yeah, so, probably. And I don't really have the metrics in front of me, but I'm gonna say about 30 to 40% are just like, text me, and I'm fine with that because it's just using the templates, right?
Yeah,
I do a little bit different order, right? Because people sometimes can be a little bit funny about asking for the date of birth first. So the first thing I do is just like, okay, perfect. Any major hospitalizations? That's where I start, and then I back off to verifying they're in that state. And then I ask them about the diabetes, heart attack, stroke, and then I pop back over and I copy and paste, but I modify it and put a comma, and or month and year is fine as well. I just put it on there to take that pressure off of giving their exact, and 9 times out of 10, they're gonna feed back their exact birth date, which is what I wanted to begin with, right?
uh, yeah. So
Yeah.
you're really trying because I guess you've seen with your data that going in with the jugular of give you a date of birth probably reduces the response rate. So you ask some easy questions first,
Yeah,
and then on
yeah.
the last
People
say
don't like that. People don't like that. So, I just reordered it.
so interested. That's brilliant. So you you've got the template whereby you're getting between 30 to 40% response rate. What are you doing with the other leads then? What's your process behind dialing, texting, but also lead flow because you're still getting new people coming in?
Yeah, I'm gonna always call the person first as soon as I have time. Again, if that first note goes out, and it doesn't matter to me what time it is because I've called people at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. If it just popped in, they're awake. They just did that, right? I'm gonna call 'em up, and I actually did that. That's the appointment I have today. Guys, entrepreneur, businessman, we were on the phone for an hour and a half. He gave me a great consultation about creating my own corporation. So it was fantastic. I was away from me, and we're doing FNGIUL here in just
Perfect.
a few minutes.
Do you
So
know what? That is such a different method to probably everyone that I've spoken to on this podcast and just in general tends to call at specific times, right? And probably cut off at some point. But you're saying if you're awake at 11 o'clock at night and someone submits that lead form,
yeah,
you're there and then like, right, let's go.
I'm hitting that call button.
Yeah. And like you said, it does
Hey,
make sense.
Antoine, I just received your note. Obviously, you're still up, right?
Yep. It's
And
perfect.
the call goes on. He said, "Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm always up late. I'm always reading and doing things." I said, "Me too." So tell me
Perfect.
a little bit about what you're looking for.
Perfect. Perfect. So tell me a bit more about that as actually, because in terms of you've spoken about doing a lot more IULs and simplified issue. Is that because the people that are coming through in terms of leads just have one more money? Like how are you structuring IULs? Is it more for
Yeah.
accumulate or
So, I wanna figure out what's their price range, right? And so, I'm gonna take their information and then I'm gonna ask them, "Are you interested in term with living benefits or are you interested in, permanent coverage with living benefits and some cash accumulation? What do you think would work best for you?" Well, I'd like to get some information on both. Boom, I'm right into the navigator. I already have their client set up. I have their date of birth, their email address. I have everything in there. And I'm going to go over and I always go to equality level term with living benefits. I
yeah,
explain the living benefits because we've got a nice little pop down with that information. Just kind of read through it. Well, how much? And I'm like, well, it varies by carrier, about 75% for this particular carrier. And they're like, "Well, what would the permanent look like, right? What would that index universal look like?" I always have mobile quotes with Mutual of Omaha open. pop
Yeah.
over there. And I'm like, okay, you can get the same amount of coverage as permanent coverage. And there's like a magic age, like 45, right? Give or take a few years,
Yeah.
that the price is so close, it just doesn't make sense for them to not go with the permanent. So I prefer to do that. I mean, I recommend that for anybody over the age of 40, unless
Mhm.
all they're trying to do is cover a mortgage. But less than 1% of the people I talk to are looking for mortgage protection, right? They're looking for something that can grow and be there until the day the Lord comes for them, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. That makes sense. And I guess from what you're saying, that means that the average age of the person you're talking to is also relatively young, right?
yeah, I would say, mostly in their 40s and 50s, roughly about 40 to 60 years of age. That's the majority, right? That's 80% of what comes in for me. And those are the ones that they did, some are waiting a little bit too late, but a lot of the times with the older gentlemen, they've lost their first wife or divorced and they've married someone younger. Now they have little kids at home. And so it's even more important to them. I can say that I have brothers.
It's become all too real when they realize that they've got young kids again that they gotta.
Yeah, 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 and they're like, "God, I need to get some coverage, like, she's gonna out her and the kids are gonna outlive me," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's right."
And that's a good ad we could probably run. Hey, you divorced? You got new kids that you need to protect. There,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
potentially quite a good ad that we can start
Yeah,
running.
and sometimes you're surprised, right? Because you just think by the age, so are those kids out of college? You have some grandbabies? No,
Hmm.
I've got 2 at home, 7 and 9, and I need to get some coverage in place, and it's like, there's just set the urgency, right? I don't
Yeah.
even have to set the urgency. They
Mhm.
just the urgency on themselves, right?
Perfect.
Now it's
Perfect.
just finding that right match for them that
Perfect.
fits their budget.
And that actually fits in with how we market the products. And obviously, and everyone, all the listeners will know that we focus on living benefits just because people are more selfish nowadays. If there's no people aren't willing to fork out, 200, 200, $300 if it's not going to benefit them personally, because why would you? You might as well put that in a savings account and let that float instead of putting it in investment, right? In a life insurance. But what we focus on when it comes to our ads is it's really about focusing on how do we just provide them with as much information about what living benefit is and does without promising them the world. And that's how you can get these conversations like you have, Judy, where, you're just picking up the phone or they're picking up the phone, speaking to you and saying, I just need this coverage. I don't know how much I can afford. I don't know how much you can provide me, but you're the one, you're the advisor, and you're the expert that is going to get me what I need. And I
Mhm.
think that was one of the big flips that we did from like old Razor to new Razor, is really focus on our front end wording and making sure it's as intentional as possible, such as for agents like yourself or anyone else who's buying leads, clear, easy flow for you to work with that is in line with how you want to work. Not, someone's telling this ad, like, qualify for $1 million. Like, I want $1 million for $15 a month.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because I had a gentleman, I talked to him several weeks ago and, I told him what that simplified issue numbers look like. And
Hmm.
he has 4 kids and sharing the house. Long story, I won't go into it. But anyway, I sent him a note and I said, "Hey, let's get back together." And he said, "Yeah, I want to see what that $1 million looks like." So we went into F&G, IUL, and turns out that he and his 6 kids and niece, who he's been raising because his brother died some years ago, are all gonna contribute to this. And so I'm sitting down with them and we came down to 800,000. That was more reasonable. That's $100 per person, right? They're all adults. And yeah, we're putting in $900,000 index universal life for a 62-year-old male. I'll let you imagine what that is.
You.
Yeah, yeah. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's gonna get that on the date.
Yeah.
that date on let's get that date on the calendar, right?
Yeah, no,
Well,
perfect. Perfect.
what a great right? If I'm not already having a good month, that's just gonna make it, just
Even e
explode. Yeah, even better, even better. So, it happens sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
of
they really want that. I had an older gentleman, 63-year-old, remarried, had a two-month-old and a three-year-old at home. He
mhm.
was retired, and, he went with the Max America $450,000 IUL, and it's still in place. That was a year and a half ago, right?
63 and a 2-year-old and a wow. Going back to the beginning of my days.
Mm. There's
I
some
don't have
urgency,
the
right?
energy at 60. I've got a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I think I'm 34. I don't think I have the energy at 63 to keep up.
I'm in that range, so it's like, yeah, no. Puppies are hard enough. Forget about it.
Exactly. So I know you're pressed for time and I don't want to keep you, but you did mention at the start about growing the agency side of things or your agency side of things. Do you want to talk a bit more about that and potentially what your process is going to be like getting them into purchasing leads?
Yeah, so I'm telling them all, even during the interview process, especially with licensed agents. Um, this is what it looks like, right? You're going to have this kind of investment. You're going to start with at least a standing lead order of five. You need to have at least 5 states. Here's some
Yep,
stuff you can get for real cheap. Here's $100. Boom, you have your 5 states and
yep,
go. And I said, you need to commit to this for at least 6 weeks to get that rolling
hmm
started, right? Because not everybody's gonna wanna do it this week or that day, right? They're gonna be towards the end of the month, no matter how hard you try, you're gonna have them spaced out, and once you get to that 6th week, you'll start seeing that that weekly production getting where you want it, which will in turn give you that monthly APV that you're looking for. And, yeah, is it possible for you to make the income that you're seeking? Yeah, absolutely, but you have to commit to that, and it's gonna be scary and uncomfortable at first, but you need to have that cash in your bank to make it happen, and if you don't have that cash right now, give me a call back when you have that in your savings account so that you can really come in here and do it because otherwise you're going to get frustrated and you won't make it.
Well, yeah, and I think you can tell when you speak to somebody, right? If they're frustrated as a lead, you can tell instantly that this is the person that really is focusing on the wrong thing. And like you said, if you've got that foresight of saying this is an investment into the future 5, 6 weeks ahead, it's a pipeline game, as many people have said on this podcast. And once you fill that pipeline with high quality prospects that at some point will have the time to do something with you, then it makes your job whole lot easier.
Yep.
But you just believe in the process, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Very insightful. Great snippets as well for lots of agents to utilize in their own agencies and also on little bits on how to grow your agency as well. Basically, giving the right expectations from the get go, which is very, very, very important. And I'm glad that you said it. So appreciate your time, Janine, for coming on. And I look forward to catching up with you later
Yeah,
on.
I'll see you in February down in Orlando, AO, and
Awesome. Thanks so much. Speak soon.